and basically the world ends. Hello and welcome to today's video. So today we're doing my December wrap up. I'd actually not say that this was the best reading month. I was in a very big slump. I read a total of 6 books in the month of December, but here are all the books I read. I'm just gonna, you know how wrap ups work. We're just gonna go through and let you know how I feel about each of them. The first book I read in December was The Risk by Elle Kennedy. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This is the second book in the Briar U series. It's about Jake Connolly and I want to say Brenna. It's Brenna. And Brenna is the daughter of the Briars hockey team coach, and Jake is the star player on the Harvard hockey team. It's kind of enemies to lovers. This one was 4 out of 5 stars. I like the series. It's just fun little romances. I don't take them too seriously. I'm not very critical on them, but if you are getting into sports romances, I would definitely recommend this series. So far on the whole, I'm liking the Briar U better than the off-campus series. Then we had Blame It on the Mistletoe by Beth Garrett. This I gave 1 star. This was a YA Christmas themed romance. There's a difference between a romance set during Christmas and then a Christmas romance. And there's also a fine line between a good Christmas romance and then like too cheesy to even be funny. I understand it was YA, but this was just too much. I also was in a reading slump, so that could have messed with the rating a little bit, but it was not. Like, out of all the Christmas romances I've ever read, this was the worst. And Christmas romances to begin with are a little iffy. This is about Elle and Holly. Elle is from the States and Holly is from the United Kingdom. Elle is like a social media influencer and she enters this competition, like gain, I think it's like 5,000 followers by the end of December, or like lose your account or something like that. She gets this idea for like her challenge to gain followers that she should switch lives with one of her fans in the UK. So her and Holly switch places and spend Christmases in the opposite country. I don't know. It's supposed to be a Christmas romance, but just like too cheesy. It was trying to be like modern times, like texting, like TikTok, whatever, and it was just too much. And then like the romances just came out of nowhere in the last 20 pages. The miscommunication trope I hated. It was cringy and not very good, and if you're looking for a Christmas romance, I wouldn't recommend this one. I was a 10-year-old reading this, preteen era. It might have been better, like a 3-star, but even then I don't see it being that great. I don't know, it was just mediocre. Well, actually, it wasn't mediocre, it was bad. The next book I read was Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is a dark romance. Alex Volkov and Ava Chen. Ava's got like some trauma with like her mother and stuff, and Alex has got some trauma with his family and stuff, and it's just a dark romance. Grumpy Sunshine, brothers, best friends. I'm trying to think of other tropes. I'll kill anyone that touches you, kind of. I don't know. I gave it 4 stars. I'm not well versed in dark romances, so it could be like not as good as I think. For what I know about them, 4 stars. Basically, her brother like is really protective of her because of what happened in their childhood. Her brother moves away because he's in med school and like he has to do a rotation somewhere, and then he's like assigns his best friend to like look over Ava, and his best friend is Alex, and like, are you serious? Like, I really have to look after your little sister. And then they fall in love. Then I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, and I rated this 3 stars. It was a whirlwind of a book. It was just funny. Like, it actually was. This is the first book I read that I actually kind of like laughed out loud at, I think. It's sci-fi. It's about this guy named Arthur, and basically the world ends. Like, the earth ends, but there's this, like, the rest of the galaxy is fine. It has a hidden, I don't even know how to explain the plot. There was just so much going on. I listened to this on audio and it was actually hilarious. I actually recommend this. I was very skeptical when I went into it. It had like some good hidden messages. It was funny and I really enjoyed it. I recommend. It was cute. It was good. Next, I read You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by Timothy Janowski and whatever. And this is obviously another Christmas romance. It's a male-male romance. It follows kind of the same structure as It Happened One Summer, where it's like the really big influencer social media star like goes too far, too much of a party person, and is sent to like a small town. So it's a small town romance, and meets this grumpy guy, and like they fall in love because of like forced proximity, small town, whatever. whatever. It was actually really cute. This is probably one of the best Christmas romances I've ever read. I unfortunately was in a really big slump and was like doing my high school's Nutcracker while I was reading this, so I had read it over like a 2-week period. And that's another reason why December was kind of not the best reading month, because I had my Nutcracker, and that is like 2 weeks of staying after school until like at least 7:30 every night. But I was reading it over that period, so I would read like literally like 10 pages a day. Like I wanted it to be over, not because it was bad, but just because I was reading it for so long. And I think it would have been a higher rating than 3 stars. I don't know if I said this. I rated it 3 stars. It would have been a higher rating than 3 stars if I had read it in like a 3-day period. It follows Matthew Prince, obviously. He's young, rich, spoiled, accidentally buys an island, and his parents are like, WTF, why'd you buy an island? And that's when he kind of gets cut off. He's sent to his grandparents' house, and at his grandparents' house lives Hector, who's a college student. They fall in love. It's really cute. I liked it. This is like I say, a romance set during Christmas rather than a Christmas romance. And then the last book I finished in December, I actually finished last night, or actually this morning. It's Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This I would consider a mafia romance. My first ever physical mafia romance. And it's a fractured fairy tale of Peter Pan. I did not know this was a mafia romance. I just kind of thought it was like a Peter Pan fractured fairy tale. I love Peter Pan. It's one of my favorite stories to read, retellings. Like I love the story of Peter Pan. So I was super excited about this one. Come to find out, like I really appreciated this, but the author did like a author's note in the very beginning, and I like read it, and it was like warning you, like, is a dark romance, has triggering topics, so if you're not ready for that, here's where you can find the triggers, the website. I really appreciated that from the author. It is very triggering, so if you think you're gonna have a problem with it, I would look it up. It follows Wendy and James, or Hook. Hook's like this drug lord basically in Massachusetts, and Wendy's father, named Peter, owns this airline company, and he is really rich, and they're kind of like, Peter kind of wronged James when he was little, and so like James is ready to get revenge. But then he meets Wendy, Peter's daughter, and she kind of comes into the play of his whole revenge plot. I was very against mafia romances for a very long time, and I still kind of am. This one was really good. I rated it 4 stars, but again, I've only really read this one. So in the scheme of like mafia romances, I don't know how good it is. I really loved how the author fractured everything in this fairy tale, like how each element was portrayed, how the places were named. Like I really liked how she incorporated Peter Pan into her story. I'd say if you like dark romances, I would go for it. This has been like going around on TikTok for a while and is like really popular. That is every single book I read in December, the whole 6 of them. I hope you guys had a good reading month. I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. Have a great rest of 2022, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.